The following feature presentation is part of the All4Sci-Fi Podcast Network.
Huh? Yeah, I saw that,
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
If you only knew the power of the dark side, Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father.
He told me enough.
No, it's not. It's okay.
He told me you.
It's alright, bro.
I am your father.
I'll be back.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. It's a trap!
It's a trap, everybody! No! The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. Or the one. Huh?
The needs of the few.
It's kind of funny sitting up there.
Or the one.
Who said that, Virginia?
No, I did.
Do or do not. There is no try.
There is
The microphone's not on.
Yeah, the microphones are on. Did they just say it wasn't on?
They're not hearing me, eh?
Rick, you're scaring me now. Is the audio not working?
Well, through the
Did they
headphones.
say that?
Nope, not yet.
I don't go by that. It's on. They're on.
Alright, as long as they're on.
Yeah. Hey, Dave. Hi, Dave. How you guys doing? Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started with the show. We've made you guys wait long enough.
Yeah,
So, let's go ahead and get started. And I always turn the microphones down when we're playing the intro. You forgot. But because we're trying to play it through the speaker so everybody else could hear it. So, hey, everybody.
The feed's good and the audio's good.
Good. Let's go ahead and get started, guys. We got quite a show today, guys. We're going to be talking about quite a few things, actually.
A lot of things, actually.
Yeah, we got a lot to go over today. The show may be a little bit long, guys. We're going to do our best. Let me make sure I get positioned in the camera correctly.
Right, yes. Please do.
But what we were talking about at the very beginning was this science fiction author, Joseph Madden, has sent us 2 of his books. Captain Rickster's read both of them. He's really excited about.
Yeah, they're really good. Hope there's more books out there about that.
I think you said there was a 3rd one he's working on.
I'll have to check.
But we're going to have Joseph Madden on the show probably in April, around the middle or end of April.
Right.
And we're going to be talking to him about his science fiction novel, The Starhawk Chronicles.
Yes.
So if you could, let me see if you can see it better. Our goal here at All4Sci-Fi is to try to help promote up-and-coming science fiction writers, because we're about sci-fi stuff here.
Yes, we are.
So Joseph was kind enough to send us his book. And we also had another novel writer who sent us a book. And I sent it to Virginia to read, and I hadn't heard anything back about it. So Captain Rickster's reading those. So once he's done reading those, I'll read the first book, and we'll do a review with that author as well. We already interviewed that author, but I hadn't heard anything back from Virginia, so I don't know if she liked it or hated it. But that book is kind of like Harry Potter, Captain Rickster.
Yeah, kind of like Harry Potter, but it's based a little bit different.
Right.
And stuff, but it's really, really a good book. I mean,
Yeah, I know you were telling me you
wow.
really like it. So you said it was hard to get into at the beginning, but
at first it was kind of tough, but then after you got past maybe the first,
speaking to the mic, please.
First 2 or 3 chapters, it started getting really good.
Great. Okay, great. So we're going to be introducing that writer as well. But today's show, we're going to talk about the Pixar Disney movie Onward, which we saw. So we're going to go ahead and give a review for that, and we're also going to be talking about, of course, Star Wars: The Clone Wars, which we're 3 episodes behind now.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about Star Wars: The Clone Wars, and we're 2 episodes behind Star Trek Picard. So we're going to talk about that. So it's going to be a long show today. Hopefully we're going to have a lot of fun, and Captain Rickster is going to keep me on my toes, so
That's definitely true.
I don't so I don't mess up too much, Captain Rickster.
That's right.
I'm wearing my Droid Depot R2D2 shirt today, which is cool.
And I'm wearing our
All for Sci-Fi.
All for Sci-Fi shirt on.
Yeah. So.
No, wow. That's not it. This is Order.
No, it's Order 66 Toys.
66 Toys.
Speaking of that, since we're at the beginning of the podcast, let's go ahead and get our introductions and announcements done, Captain Rickster.
Yep.
All for Sci-Fi is very proud to be sponsored by Order 66 Toys. Order 66 Toys is out of the Dallas area, so if you're ever in Dallas, Texas, stop by and say hi to the guys. Say hi to Josh, Gingy, Tim, Michael, Heather. We all love you guys. We're all part of the Order 66 family, and we invite everybody to also go look for them on Facebook, because every Friday night they have those great Friday night live sales.
Oh yes. Last one was vintage sale.
Yep. This Friday was vintage, and they're there for the community. And speaking of the community, we're very, very honored and very proud to be a part of the community of Star Wars collectors. That's
right.
a CSWC run by Mr. Steve Spoltor.
Mm-hmm.
Where that's about community, family, and it's just such a great group. And we love our CSWC family. So thank you, Steve, for also sponsoring All for Sci-Fi. You could find them on Facebook as well. They're at the Community of Star Wars Collectors. So search for them on Facebook. Join the group. It is a private group, but it's over 36,000 members. So it's one of the largest in the world, and just for Star Wars.
Yeah, that's true.
But okay, let's go ahead and get the show going. What's going on? Sci-fi news this week. Did you hear anything going on, Captain Rickster?
No, I haven't had a chance to really hear anything.
Well, Gina Carano, who plays Cara Dune, the shock trooper, had the entire internet in a frenzy because she just on I think it was Instagram or on her Twitter account, she announced that she's wrapped filming season 2 of The Mandalorian already.
Wow, Jesus. We gotta wait all the way to October now?
Yeah, we gotta wait till October, but
goodness.
I don't think they're done filming The Mandalorian season 2. I think she's done though.
I think she's probably done wrapping it up.
Well, she's done, and that has people freaking out. Like, did Cara Dune die? Is there a reason why she's done so quickly? But who knows? Maybe they just filmed all her stuff faster.
Maybe so. Maybe she has a big part in this season.
Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
She was only in like so many episodes anyway this last season.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm excited about A Mandalorian season 2, and I'm glad that they moved it up to October.
No kidding. Yes.
So that's exciting. And should Dave Filoni or Jon Favreau or anybody over there at Lucasfilm happen to stumble across our podcast?
Yes.
I'm starting to turn into Captain Rickster.
Oh, that's definitely true.
Should you stumble upon this and see me, I was the original Mace that you guys talk about a lot. You guys talk about Caravan of Courage in the Ewok movies. You use the blurg. So if you guys want me to come down and do some sort of small role, even put on a stormtrooper outfit, I'm willing to do it. So.
You can come down and be an extra if you want me to.
Yep. Speaking of that, we were just at Pensacon last weekend.
Yes, we were. That was beautiful.
And Nikki Batello, who plays Teak, she was a Jawa.
Yep, she was.
On The Mandalorian. And that was awesome news to find out she's still working. Hi, Nikki, if you're watching this.
Yes, Nikki, how you doing?
Yeah, but she played a Jawa in episode 2. Yeah, so that was exciting news. And she had Jawa pictures, and they're awesome. So, yeah, thank you, everybody who's joining us. Let's go over to YouTube and look at some of the comments before we get started and say hi to everybody. So, yeah, we got Virginia. Hey, Virginia. And Dante, of course, is back. Steve, thank you again for sharing that out a second time because we lost our signal.
We got Dave on here, too.
Hey, Dave, welcome. I'm glad you got it fixed, so welcome. And congratulations, Dave Staggs won the live trivia game yesterday, so he gets the spork.
Yep.
He gets the, as Virginia says, Forky, but I will call him Sporky instead.
Sporky, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Okay, so we got a lot to talk about today, guys, so let's just jump right into it. We went and saw the movie Onward.
Yes.
Which is a brand new Disney Pixar movie. Had a great story.
Oh, yes.
Really, really good story. So, it's kind of, in tradition of Pixar, they like to make stuff up. So
that's true.
In this world of Onward, the movie Onward. It's a world that's inhabited by mythical creatures where magic is commonplace, and
Right.
and the wielders of magic are greatly respected. However, due to the difficulty of mastering magic, so it's so difficult, and also the technological different, the technology, like
Right.
the invention of electricity and everything else, gas, stove. Because of inventions, people forgot about magic.
I made him lazy.
So that's what the entire movie, and made him lazy, correct?
Yes, correct.
And so that's what Onward is about. So let's go ahead, before we get deep into the discussion, let's go ahead and give the All for Sci-Fi review. At All for Sci-Fi, we give every movie 0 to 5 stars. 5 stars is the best you could get. 3 stars, if it's 3 stars or below, we don't recommend you go see the movie. In this case, we're not going to do that because Onward was really, really good.
Oh yes, very good.
The All for Sci-Fi official rating is 4.8 stars.
Oh yes.
Can't give it 5.
No, can't.
Didn't reach that level, but it came close. So I'm going to give it 4.80 stars. It's even better than 4 and 3.25 stars.
That's true. Yes.
So what do you give it, Captain Rickster?
I agree with you on that.
Oh my goodness!
It's Sunday. I gotta agree with you.
Come on, Captain Rickster. You're gonna give it 4.8 stars too?
Oh yeah, because it was an excellent movie. I mean, it had a great storyline, and I love magic, so it was kind of cool what they were doing. So it was a nice story.
It was.
Whoever the voice actors were, they actually did a great job.
Well,
on
let's talk about
and
the voice actors.
and the directing was good.
Okay, let's talk about the voice actors because they had some very big names in it.
Yes, they did.
Tom Holland
Yep.
played Ian Lightfoot.
Yep.
Okay, the teenage elf that is the one that could do the magic out of the brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Guess who played his brother?
Hold on.
Did you recognize his voice?
I recognize his voice. Let me see. Christian.
You're close. Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
Chris Pratt played the heavier,
Kid.
chunky,
His older-
Barley Lightfoot.
His older brother.
Yeah. And Julia Louis-Dreyfus was the mother.
Ooh, really?
Yeah. Isn't that great?
Yeah, it was.
And Octavia Spencer was Corey, who played, the Manticore,
Right.
which is great, the restaurant owner.
Yep.
Mel Rodriguez was the Colt Bronco guy.
Okay.
So it had quite it had Ali Wong in it, Tracy Ullman,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people. John Ratzenberger
Oh, okay.
was Fenwick, the construction worker.
Oh, yeah.
So I mean, they had a great cast. I mean, big names.
Yeah, It have big names. It was a great cast, yes.
And it showed, guys. It was the movie had heart.
Yes, it
It didn't really have a slow spot.
No.
Kept me entertained the entire time. Had a storyline, a beginning, middle, and end.
Mm-hmm.
I really highly recommend it. I couldn't quite give it 5 stars because we can't give everything 5 stars here.
No.
If it came close though, guys. I almost gave it 5 stars. Really good movie.
Yep.
I recommend it to everybody. Pixar, great job. It was entertaining. It was magical. Your magic's still there. So Pixar's doing a great job.
I wonder though about that one person who is somewhere around us asleep and snoring.
Yeah, you told me. You asked if it was I. He said, were you snoring?"
Oh, yeah, I thought he was asleep over there watching the movie. Because someone was snoring around us, I could hear it.
I don't.
Movie.
I only snore when I'm really tired. Otherwise I don't snore. I'm not a snorer. You could ask my wife. She should know after 18 years.
That's true.
But when I'm really tired, then sometimes I snore. So let's go back to Facebook here and see what's going on. Hey guys, thank you guys for saying hi. Yeah, I'll say hi to my wife as well. So the movie, basically the movie starts, and when the movie starts, this Onward movie, it's Ian Lightfoot's, it's his 16th birthday.
Right.
And he is kind of a shy 16-year-old, doesn't have very much confidence. What happened is you have a single mother who's raising these 2 children because apparently their father passed away at a young age.
Right.
And Ian Lightfoot, who we're talking about, who was played by Tom Holland, never got to see his father because his father died before he was born.
That's true.
And so since it's hit the son's birthday, the father left some magical thing that could allow him to be brought back for one day.
Yep.
And when at first they were trying it, and the older brother, who thinks he knows magic,
Didn't know anything.
didn't know magic because it ended up being Ian, the shy guy, knew the magic, and he's trying to do the spell. They finally discovered he's the one that could do the magic, and he's trying to bring back his father, but he messes it up, so only half the father shows up.
Oh, that's because the brother made him lose his concentration.
That's right. That's right. The brother, yeah, he opened the door and said, "What's going on?" You know, after he accidentally discovered that. So.
Yeah, and accidentally hits into him, and then the jewel breaks.
Right. And the father's name is Wilden Lightfoot.
But, yeah.
Yeah, and he died of, like I said, a very severe illness prior to Ian's birth.
Yeah.
And so here you have the mother, Laurel, and she's a great single mother. I mean, you feel sorry for her, you feel compassion, because
yeah, you do.
She had to raise these kids on her own. She lost her husband, and you know, it's a very reminiscent of what's going on a lot in this world with a lot of single mothers out there having a hard time.
Yes.
Sometimes it's not because of the death of a loved one; it's because you have a father that just doesn't want to be a father. So you got that. That's not what this was about, though.
That's true.
So after they finally, only have half a dad.
Yeah, that was kind of cute.
Which,
I like that.
which all through the story, they even take one of those things that you have, like a dog leash,
Yeah.
a leash for a dog, and are like trying to move him around. They discovered that they could go to find this Manticore character at this tavern who knows where you could get another one of those stones. What's the name of the stone? I'm trying to remember the name of it.
Red jewel.
It was a red jewel, but it was a giant dragon, some sort of dragon. I'm trying to think of it.
Dragon blood? No.
No.
Dragon something.
I'm trying to think here.
Can't remember. I know it's dragon.
But anyway, but when they go to meet this Manticore at this tavern, she's turned it into this Chuck E. Cheese type of a place,
Yeah.
and she's not even doing her being this Manticore or this thing anymore.
Fierce one.
This fierce one, like she used to be in the past. So she tells him that they have to go to Raven's Point to find this other stone to try to make it happen.
Oh no, she didn't tell him. She set the place on fire, and then the older boy,
Right.
found it and found out. Oh, we have to go here, Raven Point.
Yeah, they found it because another kid had figured it out.
Yeah.
With the little maps and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then along their journeys, they run into these pixie-like characters who are driving these motorcycles, and that's kind of cute. It's like
Really.
they forgot that they knew how to fly, so they become these, kind of badass biker pixies,
Yeah.
which was interesting.
Yeah, very.
And at one point, even Ian accidentally makes his brother small.
Oh yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Coming back to Facebook, Virginia likes our she likes our shirts. They're almost matching, she says.
Yeah, almost.
Almost.
Almost used a purple, mine's blue, and I got the toy for 66.
Yeah, mine's kind of almost has a purplish,
Purple
but
is
they're
what?
both blue. Blue is my favorite color, so.
Yeah, mine too.
So, okay, so they're making their way to try to find this stone that they need to try to bring back the other half of the father. So they're on this journey, and it's full of peril, and eventually they get into this mountain, and then they have to follow the stream to where it's located. But suddenly, when they come up, they have all these little perils, including almost being drowned, and they finally open up this area to come out, and they're back in their hometown.
Yeah, back in hometown.
They end up doing they didn't realize it, but they end up going underground and coming back to their hometown.
Yep.
And they can't understand why, because they don't think that stone is there. And of course the brothers get in a big fight.
Mm-hmm.
And Ian calls his brother a loser.
Yep.
Type of thing, which it wasn't cool.
Nope.
Because he was always out there looking out for him and helping raise him.
That's true.
And so they split, and Ian goes with his dad, takes him out to the beach, and he's now not going to get the opportunity to see his dad, and because they think that they're in the wrong area, but he comes out that he is in the right spot, and the older brother takes the piece that they have and puts it down and finds it. It opens up, and there's a stone. So they were in the right location the entire time.
That's right.
And so they got the gem, and and then what that does when having the gem this whole time, the Manticore is with the mother, and they're trying to get to the sons because there's going to be a curse that's going to happen once they get that gem. It's going to create a curse, and there's going to be this beast this dragon beast that's come, and that's why they need the Manticore to kill it. And so Laurel and Corey, the Manticore, her name is Corey now. The mother teaches her that she could fly again.
Right.
She forgot that she could do it, and they discover that she has to go get this sword that will kill this curse.
Yeah. Break the curse
And destroy the monster, the beast.
Mm-hmm.
So right at the end, after this curse happens and this big beast happens, they come flying down, the Manticore and the mother, and they're trying to save the day. And at one point, Ian and Barley end up. Ian is looking at his book, and he realizes that all the things he's wanted to do in his life with his dad, he's already done with his brother.
Yeah.
Which was kind of heartwarming.
And cool.
He realized he had already checked off all that stuff on his list. The kid makes lists.
Oh yeah. He did.
And he already had all that stuff happen in his life with his brother. So he tells his brother, you never got to say goodbye to Dad. I never met Dad. So he gives his brother that he's going to go and fight the beast with the mother and Corey, because Corey gets knocked out. And he lets his brother, says, you go ahead and you meet Dad. You didn't get a chance to say goodbye to Dad. I never met him anyway, and I realized my whole life you were there for me. You were my father. I did all these things. So it was a kind of a touching moment.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. So at the end, it ends, and they kill the monster, and they're able to bring the dad back with the stone, and Corey's able to meet the dad and discuss things with him, and it's just a well-made movie all along. I really, really recommend it, guys. Go see Onward. It got 4.8 stars from us here at All4Sci-Fi. What do you got to say about it?
Yeah, I mean, I love the scene where the two brothers actually hugged each other at the end of the movie.
Yes.
That was really touching.
Yeah, and he said, "Dad said to give you a hug."
Yep, that's what he said.
It's a great moment.
Oh, it was a great moment,
Yeah.
especially when the father hugged the older boy. That was great because you could see Ian watching what his father was doing to the older brother.
Yeah.
Which was pretty good. So yeah, I mean, I enjoyed that movie. I thought it was great. It had great writing, great script.
Yes.
Great characters, great actors in that one.
And when we were last year when we were at D23 Disney 23 in the fall, we saw the van. Disney made the van.
Yeah, they had the van already made. Yeah.
And you were able to take pictures with it, and I was always kind of wondering what the heck is this for? This is going to look kind of weird.
Then we found it in the movie.
Well, it was a major part of the movie. The van.
The van was.
It was what was it? Guinevere.
Guinevere, yeah.
The older brother called the van Guinevere, and at the end he gets another van and calls it Guinevere 2, and the brother paints the Guinevere 2 with them both on top of it. And the brother continues his magic because he has them. They kind of like in Back to the Future, where at the end of the movie they go. The Doc Brown goes, "Where we're going, we don't need roads," and they fly away. Well, at the end, it was kind of
neat.
It was kind of like I don't think they did that on purpose, but it was kind of like watching Back to the Future.
Yeah, it was. Yes.
And because the brother, used some magic and the van took off. So that was kind of like a neat thing.
That was really neat. Yeah, I mean.
They may not have meant that, but to me, it reminded me of Back to the Future.
Oh yes, it was very enjoyable.
Yeah.
I mean, there was no way of falling asleep in this movie, like that one.
Like the person you mentioned who was snoring.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. And you can hear it over the music. That was how loud it was.
Wow.
I go, really?
Yeah.
Wow, man.
Yeah, coming back to Facebook Live, Dante says blue is his favorite color, too.
Oh, I see. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. My wife's favorite color is purple and white.
Oh, cool.
So.
Oh, yeah. No pink?
No, not pink, actually.
Oh, my goodness. Most women like pink.
Well, she comes from Vietnam, and I don't
Oh,
know how
that's
much
true.
pink they have there. Purple's a really big color in Vietnam. A lot of purple dresses and white, of course. And,
Right. Definitely white.
yeah. Okay. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about Star Trek Picard, because I want to end the show talking about Star Wars: The Clone Wars, because I know not everybody's that into Star Trek Picard. So
True, very true. But yeah, the last 2 episodes have been awesome. I mean,
yeah, they have.
You want to see something good and awesome. I had to go watch Picard. It's getting better and better now as the episodes are going for the season.
They are. The episodes of Star Trek Picard, and I didn't think that they could get better, but they're getting better.
A lot better.
I still have a problem, and they said the F word, it was in the last episode they said the F word again. Yeah. Allison Pill's character says that about the synthetics.
Mm-hmm.
And the android girl, Sochi, but she said it once. I just don't see the need for it, guys. Why do you have to swear? I don't. And then you got to say the F word. Star Trek is better than that, and they didn't do it in the episode prior to that.
No, they didn't.
That's
because Jonathan Frakes was directing it, not this time. Not in the last episode.
Yeah, no, he didn't direct it, believe it or not. But okay,
no, he didn't.
Let's start with episode 6 since we didn't talk about that. Episode 6 is called The Impossible Box.
Yep.
And in episode 6 of Star Trek, let's go ahead before we get into it. Let's go ahead and give the All-for-Sci-Fi rating for Star Trek Picard episode 6, The Impossible Box. At All-for-Sci-Fi, as we mentioned, we have a 0 to 5 stars. 5 being the best. If it's 3 or below, we don't recommend you stream it or go if it's to the movies. In this case, it's streaming on CBS All Access. The Impossible Box is going to get 5 stars. I'm giving this episode the very first 5-star of this year. This is by far the best episode of all it's even better than the next one we're going to get into, and that one was really good too. But this episode is where Picard actually goes to the artifact, the Borg cube, and I'm going to give it 5 stars. What do you give it?
I'm going to agree with you on this one. 5 stars. It was actually it was really great. I mean, it was, like I said, no cussing in it.
There was no swear words in this one. It was just really great acting.
And Jonathan Frakes directed this one. So from him, it's really great. The storyline was good. The acting was great. It just blew my mind away when I watched it.
Well, this episode was directed not by Jonathan Frakes. It was directed by Maja Virvivo, which is a newer director. I've never seen her direct any Star Trek stuff. Jonathan Frakes didn't direct the last 2 at all.
Oh, really?
He hasn't. I don't know if he's going to direct more in the coming up, but he already directed 2 of them already.
Right.
So this episode, let's go ahead and get into it. The Impossible Box. We have Sochi, and at this point, we see Sochi. She's experiencing this reoccurring dream of her childhood, and Narek believes that if he explores her dream, it will reveal the location of her homeworld.
Right.
So he's going to try to promote that as well, and Dr. Girardi tells Picard that Maddox died as a result of his injuries on Freecloud. We all know that that's not true.
That's definitely true.
That she killed him.
Mm-hmm. She killed him.
Because of what she saw.
Yep.
And so Rafi, now they need to get a way to go to the artifact and not have an issue or have a big intergalactic incident.
Right.
So Rafi, what she does is they have Rafi call Starfleet. Another general, and Rafi persuades a Starfleet general to give them a pass. And she mentions Picard. She wants to get temporary diplomatic credentials for Picard, so he could go and meet with the head person at the artifact, who happens to be Hugh from Star Trek: The Next Generation, and Hugh is played by the same actor, by the way, as well in this one. And at first they're worried that, will Hugh want to see Picard? But Picard is totally convinced that, of course, Hugh is going to welcome him because of what Picard did on the Next Generation, giving him a name and helping him out, having an identity. So Narek, continues to sow seeds of doubt with Soji about her identity. He starts to, he helps her meditate so that she could explore her dream world. And while they're doing this, they go into this Romulan area where they follow this path. And at the same time, his sister is monitoring everything.
Oh, yes.
Secretly from a different room. So in the dream, basically, Soji ends up seeing herself as a doll on the table. Yep. When Narek gets her to keep looking up. And he keeps pushing her to see what else they could get so they could figure out where the homeworld is. And she tells him she sees 2 moons in a stormy sky with a lot of lightning. And that's enough for Narek. At that point, and his sister says, "Good work, brother." And they're going to start looking for a planet. So at that point, Narek then does this thing with the device and hugs Sochi and tells her, "You were never real," and basically traps her in the room and he's going to kill her.
Right.
Very dramatic. Also, all this time, although that's happening, Picard is meeting with Hugh, and he's having these very, very emotional callbacks to when he was Borg, when he was Locutus of Borg.
Right.
And the music and the emotion of, he almost falls over at one point. And the acting, these guys definitely deserve, well, it's not a show where you could get an Academy Award for acting.
Right.
But if these guys do not win an Emmy for their acting, I'd get pissed.
It sounds wrong. Very wrong.
The acting was so good in this episode.
Yep.
The emotion that Picard had and that he was going through and remembering how when he was Borg, the stuff he had to go through, the stuff that Sochi had to go through, the mind games that Narek is playing on her. Wow.
I know, yeah.
So, but on accident, he ends up finally activating her.
Yep.
So by activating her, she's like pounding the floor. She breaks through the floor. She breaks out, and
right in front of Picard.
Well, not at first.
No.
Hugh and Picard are looking for her, and she suddenly appears. Because when she was in that Romulan room, she couldn't be detected.
That's true.
That's right. When she drops through and saves herself, then suddenly Hugh is looking at, here she is, but she's in between floors. And she's moving so fast, no human can move this fast. And Picard says that's because she's been activated. Right. And Hugh doesn't know that she's an android. She's a synthetic. So he's starting to figure out all this stuff. So Hugh takes Picard, and they start looking to find her. And then she, like you mentioned, she drops down right in front of them. And Picard's trying to persuade her. He ends up showing her this little bracelet thing that Daj, her sister, gave, that he got from her, and saying, "I knew your sister." And she finally reluctantly goes with Picard and Hugh. And Hugh takes her into the Queen's room. It's a hidden area that is off limits. And he gets them in there, and there's this device that he could use to help them escape, where they could transport up to 40,000 light years, which was only supposed to be used by the Queen Borg if there was an emergency. So Hugh helps them basically escape. This episode is incredible. Every step of the way, this episode. This is why this episode got 5 stars, guys.
Oh, yes.
All the way down. They finally step through, and Picard, before they do that, Picard picks a place to go to, Nepenthe. And you find that out when we talk about the next episode. So they jump through, they go to Nepenthe, and then you see, they go back to the ship, and Rios and Rafi and Girardi are, they're stuck in a tractor beam from the Borg. And Girardi saying, no, that comes in the next episode. It ends once they step through, the episode ends.
Right.
Wow, what an episode. Oh.
It was really good when his bodyguard jumped down, came in and killed those Romulans.
Yeah.
Don't you remember though the Hugh actually died in that scene? Also. Or is that the next one?
The next one.
Okay.
We're jumping an episode, but the episode ends once they step through, and it kind of stops midway, and it kind of continues. And speaking of that, let's go back to Facebook. And Dante said he's never seen Star Trek, to be honest. That's okay, Dante. If you're going to get into Star Trek, get into Star Trek Picard, because it's much closer to Star Wars than the original Trek. And I want to comment on that basically right now, because Captain Rickster and I were talking the other day about, and there's been something that's been bothering me about the Star Trek Discovery. And Dave Staggs, you may be able to comment on this too. And I just figured it out. There's something that's been bugging me about Star Trek Picard, this one, and also Discovery last season and the first season. Although the last season of Discovery was really good. But the one thing that these Star Trek episodes, of course, are missing is Gene Roddenberry.
That's definitely true.
And what the elements that Gene Roddenberry brought to Star Trek, which these episodes seem to be missing, is before when we'd go watch a Star Trek episode, let's say on the Next Generation or on the other episodes, we would, when an episode started, it had a name, whatever it is, Farpoint Station or whatever the episode's name is, and each episode had a beginning, middle, and end in the episode.
Right.
So then the next episode started a different storyline, and they were in a different area.
Right.
So the only time they didn't is when they had these special episodes, like it might have been the either the premiere of the new season or the ending of the prior season.
Right.
Sometimes they would have a two-parter.
Two-parter, yeah.
But they never had a continuous story like they're doing with Discovery and they're doing with Picard. I'm not saying that's bad, but it's not what Star Trek was.
Maybe it's just a new trend now.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but that's what I miss. And maybe, Dave, you could mention this too if you're still watching. That part of Star Trek I really liked because it had more storylines, and it had more, and it also helped them create new, better adventures probably. So that's what I'm missing, and Picard, that's what I'm missing on this too. I'd like to see, and maybe it can't happen now. Maybe that's just not the way it's going to be. And like you mentioned, Captain Richter, it's just times are different. Maybe we had better writers back then when Gene Roddenberry was doing it. I'm not trying to knock any of the writers because I love some of these episodes.
Well, I think Gene Roddenberry had more control of it too.
Yeah, well, and when Gene Roddenberry was there, you wouldn't hear the F word.
Oh, that's definitely true. I never heard any cussing words in any one of the
original
Star Trek.
They'd make up a unique way to swear or say something bad.
Yeah, they would, yes.
So yeah, that's my issues with that, and it's okay. And I'm not saying you guys are bad writers on Picard or Discovery, because I've liked a lot of what you guys are doing. But guys, stop the swearing, and also let's have some episodes that have a beginning, middle, and end, like the original show. Okay.
Right.
I've said enough. Let's move on. We're going to talk about episode 7, which just premiered the last Thursday. It's Nepenthe, and Nepenthe is the city that they jumped from the Borg artifact cube.
Right.
Picard and Sochi, and we learn now why he chose Nepenthe. And let's before we get into talking about breaking down the episode and discussing it, let's go ahead and give the rating for Nepenthe. This is episode 7 of Picard at Allforscifi. Again, 0 to 5 stars. If it's 3 stars or below, don't stream it. Star Trek episode 7, Nepenthe of Picard gets 4.75 stars. I'm going to still give it a high rating, but I'm not going to give it 5 stars. I don't think it was quite as good as the last one.
That's too low.
You think so?
I think that's too low of a rating.
For the first time today, Captain Rickster and I are not going to agree on a rating. What is yours?
Mine is 4.85. It was good acting, good directing on that one. It was fun. It was interesting, and it was great to see characters come back I haven't seen in a long time on Star Trek.
Okay. I'm not going to give it the higher rating because it's the characters that I enjoyed seeing, but
give me a break.
We're so close, guys. We're close, but I'm going to stick with my 4.75 stars. And at the end of the season, we'll go ahead and do the math and see what the whole season gets.
Right.
Okay, but let's go ahead and talk about Nepenthe. Nepenthe, the reason why Picard chose that is because that's where his Commander William Riker, Jonathan Frakes, who's played by Jonathan Frakes, that's where him and Counselor Deanna Troi, played by Marina Sirtis, I think her name is.
Think so.
That's where they are at. So he went there because he knew that Picard was there, and not Picard. He is Picard.
Yes.
What the heck?
Come on, wake up now. I know you're sleeping
He
over
knew
there.
he knew that Commander William Riker was there, and his wife, Counselor Troi.
Yes.
So, and it was great. I agree with you. It was great finally to see Counselor Troi and
Yes.
see some more familiar faces, and we learned that they had children together. They're together.
Right. Yes.
So now we know. We always wanted them to be together, right, guys? From
yes.
Star Trek: The Next Generation. But now they're together,
Mm-hmm.
and they have children. We find out that their oldest son died of a very rare disease that could have been cured if synthetics were still around, which is a great
Right.
twist.
Mm-hmm.
So this was good writing. It's not that the other one wasn't, but that your guys' twist on all of this, Picard, all these writing twists are great. But the newer child is okay at this point. So at the beginning, though, the very beginning of the episode, we do a quick flashback. It's not 13 or 14 years like they were in the beginning. It's a few weeks ago. And we finally get to see the entire scene that Commander O had with Dr. Girardi.
Right.
At the Daystrom Institute in Okinawa. So, in this flashback, we get to see Commander O, the Vulcan, do a mind meld with Dr. Girardi,
Mm-hmm.
and we finally get to see what she got to see, and that is that if synthetics are allowed to exist, they will destroy Earth. I think it's Earth.
Yeah, well, it looked like Earth, but they actually destroyed Mars instead. But
Well,
yes.
if there, that's why she killed
Right. Killed
Dr. Bruce Maddox, because it would have been the end of the world,
Mm-hmm.
the end of Earth, and maybe even more. But it showed the Earth for sure blowing up.
Yeah.
So now we know why she was so pained and upset, and why she killed Bruce Maddox. So as I mentioned, Picard takes Sochi to see William Riker and Deanna Troi's home on Nepenthe. And, of course, they immediately offer Picard sanctuary.
Yep.
And we get to meet their daughter. The son, as I mentioned, died, but we get to meet Kestra. And Kestra becomes really good friends with Sochi really quick. She even has... And by the way, this young actress that plays Kestra, really, really honest, wonderful young actress, really believable, and she, in fact, especially when she says to Sochi, "Since you're only 3 years old and an android,
Yeah.
I get to be the boss of you because I'm older,"
Yeah.
which is something a kid would say. It was kind of cute.
That was cute.
And she's the one that accidentally calls Sochi an android.
Right.
So Picard has to explain, wait a minute, it's you're an android. And they talk a lot about Data in this episode, which is great.
Right.
And it is Kestra that convinces Sochi to trust Picard.
Right.
Meanwhile, Narissa ends up killing the Romulan ends up killing Hugh.
Right.
So at first she didn't kill him. She was killing the XBs,
Right.
the X-Borgs. They call them XBs. So she was killing them at first, and said, I can't kill you. But when she finds out that he broke the treaty
Right.
with apparently the Romulans and the Federation have this treaty, and because Hugh broke it by letting Picard escape, she could go ahead and kill them.
Right.
So, and actually, Eleanor ends up stuck with Hugh, and ends up coming over there to help. If he didn't show up at the right moment in the prior episode, Picard and Sochi wouldn't have been able to escape. He ends up not listening to Picard, and he ends up showing up and helping him with some Romulans, and he ends up staying with Hugh to help protect Hugh. But he couldn't protect him.
No,
Apparently,
he
he wasn't there when Narissa ends up killing him. So.
This was a lot quicker than he was.
Right. And also, right before he dies, Hugh tells Eleanor that he needs a Borg to activate the Queen's cell and retake control of the artifact. So it looks like here in a future episode that Eleanor might somehow try to take control of the ship. We'll find out.
Right.
The artifact.
That would be cool.
Yeah. And all the time that the crew all the time is trying to get Rios and Rafi and Dr. Girardi this entire time are trying to get to Nepenthe, but before they do that, they're trying to. Narek is tracking them the entire time.
Right.
And they discover that the reason why they're able to track him is because in the beginning of the episode, Dr. Girardi swallowed this tracking device given to her by Commander O. So they're able to track. He's able to hook into that and track. So she ends up taking this very lethal dose and ends up getting into a coma, but they can no longer track her, and that's how the episode kind of ends near the end of it.
Right.
Because Girardi ends up becoming, she takes the neurotoxin. She puts herself into a coma to get rid of the tracker. So. And right at the end, we don't see the ship. By the way, the name of the ship is called the La Serena. La Serena. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Let's say La Serena. It actually eventually does reach Nepenthe, and Picard and Riker are talking about it, but we don't actually see it reach the planet. And then the episode ends right at that point. Mm-hmm. So we're the entire season looks like it's going to follow this arc. And I'm okay with it, guys. But the thing that I mentioned earlier that I'm missing is the beginning, middle of end and having more adventures. And that's what we all liked about Star Trek.
Yep.
So yeah, here we go. That's it for Star Trek. We're caught up. Star Trek Picard episode 6 and 7, The Impossible Box, and Nepenthe. The first one got 5 stars. The next one got 4.75 stars. Captain Rickster and I agreed on everything today except for this last one. He gives it 4.85 on Nepenthe. So let's go ahead and move right in. Since we got so much to talk about today, guys, let's go ahead and move right into the Star Wars: The Clone Wars. This is the final season of the Clone Wars,
yes,
which is
too bad.
I like these characters. The Bad Batch.
I do too. I like them also. I wish they would keep the thing going. That way we could get more episodes out of it. But, hey, time, people, it depends on ratings. That's how most of it usually works in TV land now. So,
yeah,
people don't watch it enough to keep the ratings up. That's how they get canceled or get final seasons and stuff like that.
Well, I think that this had a lot to do with Disney being bought.
Oh, that's
buying
true.
It, and then Disney wanted Dave Filoni to go in a different direction. And he kind of ended it abruptly and didn't do a final season. So he's able now to come back because fans wanted it. We wanted the Clone Wars so much that we bugged Disney enough that they're letting a final season happen on Disney Plus, which is great.
Right.
So yeah. So anyway, not a problem. I'm going back to the feed on YouTube. Not a problem, Steve. Steve Spoltor said he hasn't seen. The new episodes of Clone Wars, so he's heading out. Yeah, if you guys, at first we give a rating, so you know what a rating is, but then we get in an in-depth spoiler discussion. So that's okay, Steve, if you end up jumping out of this. But thank you for joining us. So the Bad Batch, we have 3 episodes to discuss. One of them is called The Bad Batch,
right?
And the other one is A Distant Echo, and the last one was on The Wings of Caradax. I think that's how you say it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, further, Disney moved Filoni away from that. He ended up creating Rebels.
Yeah, that's right. He did,
and then now he has Resistance,
right,
which is the new thing that follows kind of the similar stories with the new movies. So yeah, the Bad Batch is apparently these clone troopers that have these.
They're rejects. Originally, is what I heard.
Well, rejects is a good word, but they're also they're odd. They all have different things, and they all have different names. When you make a clone is supposed to be an exact copy, and these weren't exact copies. They all had different things. Like we got one guy named Tech, who's a smart guy with glasses. You got Crosshair, who could shoot like you.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got Wrecker. Another one's name is Wrecker. He wrecks everything and throws everybody up in the air.
That's true. That's funny.
And then you got the leader guy. I'm trying to remember his name. But yeah, the thing I like about it is all these clones have their own individuality. Even though, like you said, they're rejects, they're interesting.
Interesting rejects, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure. So the first season of The Bad Batch, and I think we did discuss this, and now I'm thinking we might have said something on one of the podcasts about it. So if we're repeating ourselves, let us know, guys. But The Bad Batch has Mace Windu. Mace is back.
Right.
Not the original Mace. He's talking to you right now.
That's true.
But Mace Windu is back, and he's with Anakin and Obi-Wan, and they're with Rex, and they're talking about how they're having these really, really super losses. Like they're able to figure out what they're doing, and they're losing the war. And they're able to, no matter what they do, they seem to know every move, like they have some sort of inside information.
Right.
So they bring in the Bad Batch to try to go find out why they're figuring everything out. And in doing that, the Bad Batch Rex hears a mysterious signal, which leads him to believe that Echo, the clone trooper Echo, is still alive. Wow. So yeah, they're having terrible losses on Anaxis, and they're trying to make things better. So we get introduced to all these characters called the Bad Batch, and their fighting style is unorthodox, and the reason why they want them to do it is because they think they can't figure out what they're gonna do.
True, but they're also hardcore.
But at the end of the episode, they find out that the reason why they figured out all the moves is because it's Echo.
Echo, yeah.
That Echo is alive, and what is Echo doing, sharing all the battle plans and what they would do? Would Echo be a traitor like that? We find out. But let's go ahead and give the Bad Batch our rating at Allforscifi of 0 to 5 stars, as always. 5 stars being the best. If it's 3 or less, we don't recommend you stream it or watch it. The Bad Batch Season 7 first episode, the premiere episode, I'm going to give it 4.9 stars. I almost gave it a 5-star. Didn't quite make it. What would you give it?
I agree with you on this one, 4.9.
We can't give everything 5 stars because we love Star Wars, guys.
That's definitely true.
But it was pretty good, and it was really a great introduction to these characters. Dave Filoni, great job. Love the work you're doing. I love where it's going. So we had already talked about it. What happens is they end up going to this off-world, and they try to find out what's going on. The next episode is called A Distant Echo, and in this episode, we find out what happened. They find out that that they launch a rescue mission to try to find where Echo's at.
Right, that's what they were doing. And they did find him. It did find him eventually.
Yeah, no, they found him in this stasis chamber, and he's tied up like he's all tied up, and boy, they just tore him apart.
Oh yeah.
He's like mostly machine now, like a Terminator or something.
Almost, yeah.
And let's give the review for a season episode 2, A Distant Echo. I'm going to give it 4.75 stars.
I'll agree with you on that one.
It's not quite as good as the premiere episode, but we do get to learn a little bit more about Echo,
right?
Which was neat. So the next episode on the wings of Caradax is what Caradax are is they're those flying creatures.
Right.
So we get to see them and the local species, which don't want to be a part of this war.
Nope, not at all.
Yeah.
But they were accidentally dragged into it.
And at this point, they're trying to escape the facility, the Wat Tambur's facility with Echo. They finally have Echo at this point, so they're trying to escape with him. And what was they called? The Union? Something Union? Fort Union.
Trade something.
I'm trying to remember the name of it.
Yeah.
But they're apparently they're like helping the Separatists out, and they're not helping the Republic out. So,
right.
So basically, they go with these creatures. They learn, those creatures help them go and help tell. In the last episode, still a distant echo, the creatures help them go find where Echo's at.
Right.
They lead them up there, but they say they don't want to be involved in the war. In the next episode, it's them escaping, and they end up outside, and they're trapped on both sides. And the tech guy is able. He recorded the creature sounds, so he's able to call the creatures, and the creatures help them escape.
Right.
And the creatures end up flying back to the what are they? The primitives that don't want to be a part of it, and now they're a part of it. So they're drawn into the conflict.
Yep.
And there's some great speeches, of course, with them, with Rex telling them, you may have not want to been a part of this, but you are, and you got to stand up for something at one point. So they agree to go ahead and help them finally, and it kind of draws them into conflict because the Union guys were part of the Separatists anyway, so they chose sides. So this particular episode, On the Wings of Caradax, I liked it better than A Distant Echo, the in-between one.
Right.
So at All4Sci-Fi, the rating for On Wings of Caradax, I'm going to move it back up. I'm going to move it to 4.85 stars. So
I agree with you on that one also.
I like all three of these episodes, guys. They're all very good. I'm glad that Disney allowed Dave Filoni to come back and finish this.
Right.
So hats off to you, and thank you, Disney Plus, for giving us something while we're waiting for The Mandalorian.
No kidding.
Season 2. I had heard that the subscription rate really dropped off after Mandalorian.
Quick.
So at least they gave us something else to be hopeful for.
That's very true.
Yeah. Coming back to our YouTube live stream, the live place just said, "Hey guys, I'm thinking about seeing this tonight. We recommend it. So make sure you watch it. It is classic Clone Wars. It's everything we loved about it. A lot of action with the clone troopers. It's really good." So.
Yeah, they just came on and said, "Yeah, we dropped ours."
Yeah.
A lot of people did drop it after the Mandalorian was over with.
Yeah, no, I mean, but it's these episodes are really, really good. Dave, it's obvious to me that Dave Filoni should always be doing Star Wars. And Jon Favreau, you're doing a great job, of course. You're the creator of The Mandalorian, so my hat's off to you. And you know what? My biggest, since today, and I didn't say this yet today, and shame on me because I did this on my Facebook, but to all the ladies that are watching this, in Virginia, this is to you too, Happy International Women's Day.
That's right.
Everybody should sit, if you, women rule the world, they help us, they take care of us. Everybody should do something nice to a woman, a mother, a daughter, anything today, because it's Women's Day, and we should treat women with as much respect as we can. Thank you guys all for being there and being Happy Women's Day. And I want to say that because I want to say Happy Women's Day to Kathleen Kennedy at Lucasfilm.
Yes.
Thank you, Kathleen Kennedy, for putting up with all that you do. I don't think you deserve to have all the wrath and get no credit when you are a big part of all of this. You're a big part of The Mandalorian, even though they don't want to give you the success. You're a big, big, big part of Clone Wars coming back. You know, they want to tear you apart because of a few things that maybe one episode, The Last Jedi. And I like The Last Jedi. There are things I agree with a lot of you about The Last Jedi. There are things I don't like about it. There's things I love about it. But, you know, it's Star Wars. It's fallible. I mean, we can't all be perfect. But thank you, Kathleen Kennedy. Happy Women's Day. Happy Women's Day to all the ladies, too, that are seeing this. But that's it, guys. It's been a long, long podcast. We thank you guys for joining us on our weekly podcast. Today, we reviewed the Disney Pixar movie Onward. We also reviewed Star Trek Picard and got caught up on that, and also the Clone Wars 3 episodes. So thank you guys all. We'll also put up the ratings on allforscifi.com. If you haven't had a chance to do it, make sure you go to our website, allforscifi.com, bookmark it, because we also have a lot of written reviews up there. We have trailers, a lot of content. We break the latest news sometimes, right, Captain Rickster?
Yes, we do.
Go ahead.
I got one thing, though.
Uh-huh.
Next weekend, we'll be in Las Vegas.
Yes.
Doing the toy convention there, so our podcast will be there on Sunday. Hopefully, we get
Saturday, we'll be doing a live walkthrough.
Hopefully, we have great reception. that way we can, do interviews and stuff. Sorry about Pensacon because everything there was just so bad.
I don't think we're going to have that problem. In Vegas, I think the reception's going to be okay.
I hope so too because, it's sometimes it's kind of hard to do. You miss one show, you got to come back, and you're going to come back, and you got to not repeat, but do 2 shows that we, previously that we had to watch to do like we did today.
Yeah, it's because of Pensacon. We did enjoy Pensacon. Thank you for inviting us out there.
I'd like to come back again.
Yeah, we'd like to come back again. Move it to a different facility that's not an old hockey rink that's
really.
made out of concrete, so it can't get good reception. Those tunnels were ridiculous. It was like they were perfect for a little person to walk through.
Oh no kidding! Otherwise, you're too tall. You got to go like this and walk along the hallway. But, wow.
So the Ewoks had fun there.
Oh, of course they did.
Yeah. So so next week we're going to be live in Vegas. So we're still doing the trivia game. So the live trivia stream will happen from Vegas. It will have we'll have trivia about Las Vegas, also about the con, maybe about some movie trivia. It's because the people from ET are going to be there.
Yep.
We'll talk about movie trivia and also about the con. So we will still do the live stream, and there will be a gift for the winner who wins it as well. This week on the live trivia show, Dave Staggs won the Spork.
Yes,
He won. So we will have a gift as well next week from Galaxy's Edge, so don't forget to tune into that. Again, happy Women's Day. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. I know it's been a long podcast. We'll be at Vegas next week for the live trivia game, and on Sunday we'll be doing our podcast as well. We have a new movie coming out. What was that movie? I think it's called Deadshot or...
Oh, no, Bloodshot.
Bloodshot's coming out, so that's going to be something we're going to be reviewing as well.
Yep.
Hey, everybody, as we always say at All for Sci-Fi, do something nice for somebody this week. One act of kindness spreads. So, you may think it doesn't, but if you do something good, then that person remembers, does something good for somebody else. Like my